back to my channel. Today I look a little bit crazy because I do have two different eye looks on, but I wanted to treat you guys to a little too, and I'm going to be doing a nice gold glittery eye and a bold red lip for the holidays. This screams holidays. It's kind of basic, but it's still beautiful. I think it's definitely worth showing you guys how to recreate, and I really hope that you enjoy.
To start out, I'm going to be taking the color Soft Peach from the World Travelers palette. I'm going to be using this to set the concealer that I use as a primer for my eyes. You want to make sure to get into the crease and onto the brow bone to help with your blending later on. Now I'll be taking the color Bone Beige. This is a MAC sculpting powder. I'm going to be taking a big fluffy brush and I'm just going to work it into my crease. This will be my transition shade. It's light enough that it doesn't show up very much, but I am going to be building it up quite a bit. Here, as you can see, I'm using just windshield wiper motions, and I'm building the color up to the intensity of my liking. At the end of each step, you want to step back a little bit and make sure that both sides are even. Now we'll be dipping into the color Morocco with this slightly more precise blending brush, and I'm just going to be adding this color slightly below the color Bone Beige. As you can see with this, I'm using sort of windshield wiper motions and circular motions just to make sure that the product is nicely blended. As with most colors, you want to go in a little at a time and build the color so that you can get an even look. Now we'll be dipping into the color Fudge with this angled liner brush, so we're going to be cutting the crease. For the mapping out of the crease, you want to keep your eyes open and go slightly above your natural crease, kind of following the natural curves, and wing it out at the end. Here I start to drag out the color upwards a little bit to help me out with the blending later on. I am not adding any additional product to my brush. Now using a nice fluffy shadow brush, I'm just going to go ahead with no additional product and blend that shadow out a little bit more. Now dipping into the color Morocco with that more precise blending brush, we're going to really make it look seamless. This is a really good trick. Whenever trying to get a nice gradient with your crease, you want to go back in with the previous brush and the previous color and blend it out. Now I'm going to go ahead and define the crease. Once again, this is a process where you're going to go back and forth between defining the crease and blending it out a couple times until you get your desired look. Just as always, remember not to add too much product and blend with the prior brush and prior color after defining it. You honestly have to do it a couple of times. Just do it as much as you need to make sure that you get the look that you want. And this is personal preference. Towards the end, I like to define it more so closer to the tail. Here you'll see me going back into Morocco with the precise blending brush one last time to finally blend everything out. For this process, I like to use the windshield wiper and circular motions because it helps to blend product out the best. Lastly, we're going to go back into Bone Beige and re-brighten up the brow bone. This also helps to blend everything out even more. Now taking my MAC Pro Longwear Concealer, this is in the color NW25, I'm going to go ahead and clean up the crease. This is probably my favorite step because it really helps perfect everything. Because of this step, you don't really have to sit there and be too precise in your application of cutting the crease. This makes everything look perfect. That being said, you definitely want to take your time with this step. Once that step is done, I'm going to go ahead and take this detail brush and blend out the product so that everything is nice and even. Now, barely dipping into the color Noir and tapping off the excess, we're going to go ahead and redefine that cut crease just a little more at the tail. Like I said, I like the tail to be the most defined. Once that's done, like everything else, you must go back and blend in any harsh lines. Now with this wet synthetic flat brush, I'm going to be dipping into the color Metallic and patting it onto my eyelid. For this, you want to use patting and sweeping motions because it's going to make the eyeshadow look the most foiled. I'm going to go ahead and take that right up onto the cut crease on the edge to clean it up. And once that's done, we're going to add the glitter. I'm using this NYX Crystal Liquid Liners in the color Crystal Gold. I'm not going to lie to you guys, it kind of burns a little bit going onto your lid, but the feeling goes away as soon as it starts drying. For the inner corner highlight, I'm going to be taking Champagne Pop onto this wet detail brush and popping that right on. Now we can go ahead and apply our liner. I'm using the Kat Von D ink liner, tattoo liner. And for this, you want to start with the tail to make sure that it lines up with the cut crease nicely. I'm making sure to make the wing not too thick because I want this beautiful eyeshadow and glitter to peek through the most. With liner, you can go ahead and take your time also. Here I did it in real time so that you can see that it's not that easy, and I do go in little short strokes and I do take my time. Now using the color Fudge and that angled liner, we're going to define our lower lash line. I'm placing this color right along my lower lashes. And now with that little shadow brush and Morocco, I'm just going to smoke that out. Now I like to go into the color Noir with that angled liner brush, and I just kind of like to use it to connect the liquid liner to the lower lash line. It really helps to make the look whole. And of course, as always, you go and blend that out also. Now moving on to the other eye, we're going to dip into the color Fudge with that more precise blending brush. And we're going to pack the color onto our outer V and then just start blending it out. I do sweep it into my crease a little bit. Now with the color Morocco and the fluffier blending brush, I'm going to go ahead and blend out any harsh lines. Here I'm going back and forth with the colors Fudge and Morocco just to get the intensity and blended look that I want. Once that outer V is blended to your liking, you can go ahead with the wet synthetic flat brush in the color Metallic, and we're going to go ahead and pack that onto our lid. I'm keeping it in the front and not so much going into that dark outer V. I also make sure to bring it all the way up to the crease to make it look nice and defined. Once that's done, you want to go ahead and make sure that those edges are nice and blended. And same as the other eye, we're going to highlight our inner corners with Champagne Pop and add that gold glitter over top. It's pretty cool because this is kind of the same version of the look in an easier way. You can pick one or the other, whichever one you like best or you're more comfortable doing. After the glitter is done, we can go ahead and add our liner. With this, I decided to start at the tail also just to make sure both sides looked a little even and I looked a little bit normal at least. I try to keep this wing quite thin also, probably a little thinner than the other side, because all the same I wanted to make sure that the lid color showed through the most. It is the star of the show. After your eyeliner is done, you can go ahead and use it as a guideline. I'm dipping this fluffy domed brush into Noir, and I'm just going to go ahead and define the crease a little bit more. As you can see, I didn't add very much product, but I do go back in with a fluffy brush and blend it out. Same as the other side, you want to go ahead and brighten that brow bone back up, and also go ahead and blend the crease out even more. And on this side, once again, with fudge and that angled liner brush, we're going to go ahead and define the lower lash line and do the same exact thing with the same exact colors and brushes that we did on the other side. This really does help the whole look very put together and complete. Last but not least, we're going to go ahead and do our lips. I'm going to be taking this Anastasia Beverly Hills liquid lipstick. It is in the color Seraphine. I like to start out with my Cupid's bow and the corners of my mouth. You kind of want to start at the very corner and pull up, not really being too worried about making it connect just yet. You want to make sure that the corners are nice and filled in and that they look solid and clean. Then I go ahead and fill in the bottom lip and press my lips together to transfer the color up. And now at this point, you can go ahead and connect all those lines together and make sure that the edges of your lipstick look nice, symmetrical, and clean. You can always go back in at the very end with concealer and a flat brush and just clean them up. I didn't in this instance because the liquid lipsticks are really forgiving with bleeding, and I didn't see the need to.
So that is both of the nice glittery gold looks. I hope that you guys learned something new today and you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do remember to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It's free. You will get notified every time I put up a new video. And if you really liked it even more so, I would totally appreciate it if you guys shared the video. So with that being said, I cannot wait to see you guys on my next one. Bye bye.